Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This time I decided to do a speed paint on top of a story. I figured why not add a little bit of mythology to the art. So let's get started. So the first story we have is a romance between Eros and Psyche. Once, a long time ago, there was a king who had 3 pretty fly daughters. But the youngest, Psyche, was like, "Dang girl, can I have your number?" She was so pretty that men would come from everywhere to admire and worship her. Must be nice. She is so beautiful, in fact, that people began to say that not even Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, could compare. Basically, she's the first influencer. The goddess became so enraged because of her temples were being abandoned, and she was no longer relevant. Psyche was getting all the attention, and anything that would have come from the mortals and be given to Aphrodite was instead given to Psyche. So Aphrodite figured, hey, let's blacklist her. She told her son Eros, or Cupid, as some of you know, to use his power to make Psyche fall in love with the most despicable creature that has ever walked the earth. Eros, of course, listened to his mom and went to go do the deed. But instead, he was struck with love. He thought she was the most beautiful thing. So back to Psyche. She still hadn't found love. Despite her beauty, hey, looks aren't everything. Both of her sisters eventually married kings, and any man that would pass Psyche's way would admire her and then move on to the different girl. She was pretty lonely. So, being a great dad, Psyche's father went to the Oracle Delphi to see who would swipe right on Psyche. Unfortunately, the Oracle let dear old dad know that her match was on top of a hill and was a winged serpent. And he was pretty terrible. He'd be around at 8 o'clock sharp. Oh, and tell Psyche to wear a black dress. As you can imagine, she was pretty upset. But she didn't want to disappoint. So, like any normal family, they went ahead and arranged the marriage for their beloved daughter with this strange beast. Soon enough, Eros showed up, invisible, like guys do, and swept her off her feet, quite literally. Eros took her to his home, a beautiful paradise with good music, great food, and an excellent atmosphere on top of a mountain. She was vibing with the life that her now husband had given her. She was pretty happy, and come nighttime she welcomed the invisible spouse to her bed to do the dance with no pants. After that, things were going pretty well. The two were happy, even if Psyche couldn't see her man. She knew he was there, and that he loved her. That is until she became homesick. She wanted to let her family know she was okay. So she asked her love muffin if he could grant her a favor, and let her 2 sisters up to visit her. Obviously, he agreed. He couldn't say no to her. Shortly after the 2 sisters showed up, they were pretty shocked at Psyche's life and where she lived, and they became pretty jealous. After the visit, they decided to devise a plan to hurt their sister, and told her that her lover won't let him see him because he's probably a horrible, disfigured creature and knows she'd be outie 5,000 if she saw him. Now that the doubt was there, Psyche began to question her husband, wondering where he was, what he was doing, and why he wouldn't let her see him. The important questions. So she figured, you know what? Couples don't keep secrets. She decided she'd sneak up on him at night with a candle and a dagger. If he was a snake man, she'd just kill him. No biggie. Girl was in luck though, because she found not a snake, but the best looking man she'd ever seen. She was so thirsty for him that she spilled a bit of wax on his back and woke him up. And he was pretty shocked at her betrayal. He's pretty emotional, so he left in tears, and she tried to follow him to apologize, but, she couldn't fly, so... Anyway, Eros went and cried to mommy, and then Aphrodite became pretty mad that some girl broke her baby boy's heart. She was about to throw down with Psyche, but the girl insisted she loved Eros and had made a mistake. So, Aphrodite, being the goddess of love and whatnot, decided to see if the girl was really good enough for her son by giving her 4 challenges. The first of these challenges was to organize a whole bunch of seeds by afternoon. If she hadn't, she'd never get to see Eros again. Obviously, this task was ridiculous and would take forever, so she became pretty upset. Luckily for her, though, there was some ants that were like, you know what, let's help her out, Disney style. Aphrodite wasn't too happy when afternoon came around and the seeds were organized. But she said, you know what, let's call it a night. So the next day rolled around, and Aphrodite's next order were for Psyche to obtain the golden fleece from the rams of the sun, huge aggressive beasts that were in a field butting heads against each other. Psyche wasn't sure how she was going to do this without getting trampled, but then, instead of ants, the reeds on the river's edge told her, hey, why don't you wait till the sun goes down and the rams go away, and you can go ahead and pick the fleece off all the brambles that the rams have brushed against. Psyche thought, not a bad idea, and that's what she did. Aphrodite again was not very happy, and she decided to give Psyche the third task. The next day, Aphrodite told Psyche to do something more dangerous, which was to get a bottle of water from the river of Estige. There was a lot of rocks, and it was pretty steep and dangerous. Oh, and did I mention the dragons? Then, in true Disney fashion, an eagle came down and was like, "Hey, I got you, don't worry," and I went to get the water for her. Aphrodite again was pretty mad, and she knew she couldn't have done it on her own. So the last task that Aphrodite gave Psyche was the most challenging of them all. She had to descend to the underworld and fill a box with a beauty ointment that would be given to her by Persephone, the Dark Queen of Spring. So, she did. Went down to the underworld, paid the ferryman to cross the river, past Cerberus, made it all the way to the Queen of the Underworld. When she pleaded her case, Persephone was like, "Don't worry, I got you, fam." And she gave her the ointment. Psyche was pretty confident in herself. She made it all the way back, and she was headed back to the palace of Aphrodite, when all of a sudden a burning curiosity overtook her. She was told not to open the box, but she didn't listen. When she peeked open the lid to take a look, she didn't find beauty. Instead, she found a deadly sleep, and that sleep took her. She crumpled on the road, and Aphrodite was pleased. She had planned this all along. Now, at this point, the gods were like, "Alright, hold up. This is getting crazy." So they sent Hermes and told him to tell Eros everything that his wife had done in order to see him again. When Hermes relayed the message, Eros was so moved by his wife's determination and pretty annoyed with his mom. So he left his room, he found Psyche crumpled on the road, he locked the sleep back in the box, and he gave her true love's kiss, which woke her immediately. And he swept Psyche off her feet and took her back home. Eventually Psyche was like, "Dude, that's your mom, you gotta talk to her." And he reluctantly agreed. Aphrodite got over her anger at Psyche anyway, because as a wedding present, Zeus gave Psyche ambrosia, the drink of the gods that would make someone immortal, so that she could stay with Eros on the mountain forever. Basically, all the men on Earth forgot about Psyche, and Aphrodite was a popular girl again. And they lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the art to go along with it. Please subscribe to my channel and follow me for more. We'll be having a new story every week. If you have a request for next week's story, leave a comment below. And thank you again for tuning in.